Hi, and welcome to Business Video Chat, where I speak to businesses who I think are doing a great job with their video marketing, see if they got any tips that they can share with my audience. This week, I'm joined by Graham Bewley of Graham Bewley Photography, and he's been running his own photography business for newborns and families since 2014. Hi, Graham.
Hi, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. A little bit cold, but doing all right. It's that time of
Snow
year.
this week. Yeah. So, can you give? I mean, you've actually got a background in video yourself. So, can you give everyone just a brief overview of your business now and how you got to that point?
Basically, I started taking photography as a extra activity outside of school, within school. That got me into photography, but I was quite creative with video from quite a young age. I remember always getting a VHS tape recorder that my parents had and actually making my own Wallace and Gromit sketches when I was probably about 11 or 12. So this was before I went to secondary school.
Stop motion stuff.
Yeah, stop motion type stuff. And I still got it now, which is kind of weird. I want to try and convert it. So I've always had an interest in image, video, photography, and that kind of thing. I went through university studying video, mainly video editing, special effects, and broadcast technology, and how to broadcast live was one of the things that the BBC taught, which is quite good, which is obviously coming good stead nowadays. Now everyone's going live on Facebook and Instagram and every other platform. After 5 years of being at Jessop's, I finally bit the bullet and decided that I wanted to start my own photography business. I worked in different pubs and my friend's pub in the evening, and during the day I basically started my photography business and getting that in motion. From then on, I sort of fell in love with the family and the newborn side of things. And so that's when I decided to focus on that area specifically when I started up my business. And then sequentially, I've had my family, so that kind of helps and has derived my focus.
I mean, it's really nice as well that you found that niche within photography, because as you probably know, a lot of photographers are very generalized, aren't they? Same with videography as well. So videography, you get people that do business videos, you get them that do music videos, weddings, but all the skills are different. So it's good that you found that niche of newborn and family rather than doing, still life and cars, sports, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, obviously I have interest in different things. One of the things that really got me started in photography when before I went to university and at school was actually rollerblading. I used to do a lot of rollerblading. I was manager or sort of assistant manager type person at a skate park in Rochester. I used to take a lot of photographs there with like a little digital camera that came free with my laptop. And that was kind of my first digital camera. And it was good fun. And, there are different areas that I'm still interested in photography, but one of the core things which helps when you're doing your marketing is having a core focus. And I am setting up another photography business that specializes in something else to a different clientele, a different type of customer base. It's very hard when you're trying to market as a photographer if you've got loads of different genres that you do. If you can be very precise, maybe even if you do have 2 or 3 different companies, different branding, different videos, different photography, all based on different client bases, it's far easier than trying to help everyone. As you know, with the video side of things, you need to know who your customer is, and if that customer base is wide, it's very hard to market to them.
Yeah, speaking of marketing, so how do you use video in your marketing?
I use video in a variety of different ways. First of all, I really love Facebook Live when it first came out. I got on that pretty quick with the Facebook Live. I kind of slowed down a little bit now, but I'm getting back into it. And it's worked really, really well because the engagement is so good. As long as you've got a really good following to start with and you build that up. But I also use video in my Facebook advertising, my Instagram advertising. And in general, I've set up groups to help people learn photography as well. And the photography on that's really good. And now for future businesses that I'm currently working on, I've also created a YouTube channel. So that's not necessarily linked to my my client customer base at the moment, but it's going to propel us forwards. And now you got platforms like TikTok. If you're looking at a younger audience, that is all video based. People at the end of the day, when they come on these platforms, they want to be entertained. And same thing with LinkedIn. Even though it's business orientated, you're going to stop past a post that's entertaining. And it tends to be that the video stuff just appeals to more people. I've kind of gone away from the slideshow as well, because I tend to find if you do a lot of photography slideshows, people just see that as advertisement. Whereas a video, even if you're just using it on your mobile phone and taking a video as you walk around the streets or whatever, it just doesn't look like an advert. You know what I mean? So you tend to find the engagement so much better. So I use video in a wide range of uses, but it's ultimately focused on my customer.
And it's interesting you say that video has to be entertaining, and I think a lot of people get scared by that, but what you mean by entertainment isn't it has to be funny.
No.
It's that it has to be engaging and serve a purpose. So for you, for like in your groups, you're giving really helpful educational information, and that's entertaining because people want to learn about that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
do you want to talk about the sort of videos that you put in your new group about helping families take better photos of their children?
So at the moment, I've got to just set up a new group during this lockdown, this third lockdown we've got, about how to take photographs at home. The main ways I'm doing that is I wanted to, when I first set about doing this, I wanted to make sure this was a very personal and a fairly close group of people. And it's full of parents, mainly mothers. So I didn't want it to be like a pre-recorded thing, well versed. I actually kind of wanted it a little bit rough around the edges because it kind of gives that more natural, warm sort of feel to it. So I'm actually doing all the videos live. So I decided to do them live on my Facebook group, and I've done them through Zoom as well. So when I do the Q&A, I can actually bring people on board and they can be on the screen with me and ask their question when it comes to Q&A time. And then I can bring up the next person. So it adds that level of interaction. They can see me, I can see them, and you kind of get to know who the person is. And if there's any mistakes or fluffs or, the phone goes off or whatever, it's just natural. It's normal life. And with these lockdowns we've been having, it's become more and more normal to see people's homes in their background, or cats running across like yours does, and the dog barking.
I'm waiting for it. She's down there at the moment. I can see she's eyeing it up. She's
really?
Talking to a camera.
We mentioned her, don't worry. And but yeah, people are kind of more used to the rough around the edges look, and it's definitely more homely. I've been having a lot of meetings over Zoom, so people got used to looking at videos and looking at a screen now, and having a webcam. So that's how I'm doing it in my new group. I'm doing it live. I'm just doing it over Zoom because I don't want it to feel too like they're on a course, like they're doing some sort of workshop type thing. I wanted it to feel a bit more relaxed and a bit more open. So the live videos definitely help with that.
So there's two ways you could look at the live videos, because I know I understand what you're saying. It's great to have that rough around the edges feel to it, which you're always going to get with a live video. But I know you're also very good at making live videos look more polished and standing out from the crowd. So it's not just a person holding up a phone with a shaky video. So number one, what sort of tips do you have to help people create live videos that stand out? And two, where do you draw the line between it being a little bit rough around the edges and something that's professional that represents your business?
I think it's the fine details. One of the first things that I got taught at university when it comes to video, the way to make your photographs or video look professional straight away is to stick it on a tripod. If you've got a phone holder or anything like that, just stick your camera on a tripod and have it still, like we're doing right now. Our cameras are on our monitors or a tripod or whatever, and it's not shaking around or anything like that. So even if you're going for a walk, get one of those proper sticks to do it or anything like that. But what obviously you're referring to is my old Well, I'm not. I'm still undecided whether it's going to come back. It's quite hard to do during the lockdowns we've had. But the capture, which was a Facebook live show I did, which was a bit more polished, and I was using a software called OBS, which I know you've used quite a bit as well. And that means you can add in graphics, you can add in pre-recorded bits, but it's still live. You still get that engagement, you still get that interaction as well. So that's a great thing to have for that. But if you want something a bit more polished, maybe you're doing something on LinkedIn or your own website, because you can, even if you're doing live stuff, you can have that embedded on your website now, rather than just having it on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Then, you've got to look at the graphical elements. You've got to have motion graphics when it comes to your logo. Think about, how each segment of the video is going to plan out. Even the rough around the edges type live videos that I've been doing, I still start off by telling them what I'm going to tell them. I then tell them, and then tell them what I told them. Just having that nice, just very simple structure, so people know that there is a plan in place. Otherwise, you're just sort of fumbling through things. To have a segmented structure when it comes to how you're going to do your live videos is going to be key, even if you're doing a kind of off the cuff one. And try and stick to one point as well. I find it's quite easy. I've just started my own vlog this year. I'm currently editing the third edition of it, because obviously we just had the third week of January. And I'm finding that is very good practice for me. Even though I'm not getting a lot of views, it's purely for me to practice and me to catalog and my life and how I'm growing. But what I'm finding is when I'm doing bits to camera, I need to stick to one point. So whenever you're going live or anything like that, try and stick to one point that you want to get across, and get that point across as clearly and as simply as possible, rather than trying to bombard people with lots of information. Because that's when I ended up with a video that was like 15 minutes long of just me talking to the camera as I was just reeling off everything that happened to me that day, rather than sticking to one point that would benefit the person watching it. But yeah, I think that's the key things, is make sure your camera's on a tripod, try using OBS if you can, have a structure, and try and stick to one point, rather than just trying to reel everything off in one go.
Yeah, I mean, OBS is one of those programs that you look at it and it looks really scary. But once you've actually set it up, once you've watched a couple of tutorials on YouTube or whatever, it's then set, and you just got to press a few buttons to make it work. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is, with live videos, do you wait for people to log on and start watching it live before you get into the content, or do you have a couple of minutes grace to let people log on?
I've kind of been experimenting with this, actually. So with the capture, I used to have a bit of software called, I think it's Spaz, S-P-A-Z, which has a countdown timer, which you can then add to OBS so people know when you're going live. But I found that if the timer was too long, like 2 or 3 minutes long, a lot of people watch it and then come off, watch it and come off, rather than staying around. So it's nice to have a timer. I think you've got to have it less than a minute. It starts at a minute or 90 seconds. Otherwise, if it's too long, people aren't going to hang around for 2 minutes just for you to get started. The other thing I've also been experimenting with, especially when it comes to things like TikTok and Instagram, is to have some sort of catch or something that's going to grab their attention straight away. Like, oh my God, parents, you would have no idea what's just happened. And straight away in that one sentence, I'm adding interest. I'm adding in who it's for, so it's for parents, and also I'm in excitement. I'm adding excitement to the video straight away, rather than going, "Hi, Graham Bewley. Hi, I'm Graham Bewley." And then saying, "Parents, do you know?" Or just, "Do you want to take better photographs?" People just don't. You got to add some sort of excitement and entertainment and try and catch people in. And if you do that at the beginning and spend the first 30 seconds, 20 seconds, doesn't have to be very long, with that catch, then that tends to work as well, I've found. So it doesn't have to be as dramatic as the example I've just given you, but if you've got something that really will resonate with who you're trying to speak to, that generally works. You've got to have it in mind that most of the audience you have, or 50% of the audience, are going to watch this pre-recorded. So even though it's going out live, so you kind of need that hook at the beginning as well. And also make sure that hook or whatever it is in the title of the video as well. So there's two different ways of doing it, but it also depends on the platform as well. If it's in a group or something like that, people might hang around because they know you. But if the video is for someone or trying to gain an audience, having the timer might not necessarily work. You kind of got to bring them in, and that's where segmenting the video comes up really nicely, is maybe having that first 30 seconds, just grabbing them in, adding excitement to the video. So whatever point they come in those first 30 seconds, they're going to be excited by your excitement and then go into the video a little bit. So have a think about that as well, really, if you're going to do any live video or pre-recorded video that works for as well, as you know.
Is there anything else you do with your live videos once you've... Well, two questions again. So first of all, what's the time difference in preparation between your live videos and your pre-recorded? Do you find live videos are a lot easier just to put out there, or do you feel like you got to prepare them a bit more because you're on the spot and you need to get it right? And now I forgot my second question, so just answer that one first.
So it depends, actually. When I did the capture, I was planning quite far in advance. I was spending quite a lot of time planning them out. But once I got the ball rolling and got used to them, and I had that structure in place, the audience knew that structure, exactly like a TV show. So whatever TV show you watch a lot on TV, they'd repeat the same things over and over again on every episode. And that is their format. So you've got to come up with your format for your show. And once I got that in place and knew what was working, I just had to tweak things every week. So it didn't take me as long, unless I was doing something that had to be pre-recorded, so doing stuff outdoors. So the live videos eventually got quicker. And, nowadays I can just do a live video and not worry about it and have it out there. I tend to find the pre-recorded bits have to have a bit more planning involved, because it's pre-recorded. I kind of want them to look a bit nicer, a little bit more creative. People know it's pre-recorded as well, opposed to being live, because the background might be different, or you're out and about, or I'm in the studio. So I try and make a bit more effort if I'm going to do a pre-recorded video. Plus, the pre-recorded stuff has a different purpose. So, for instance, I'm planning at the moment my videos for my website, because I got a new studio last year. I want to go into my studio and do some recordings in there about the layout of the studio, how it works from having a shoot. So from the moment that someone books in to the moment they get their photographs right at the end, I need to have a video for that. So that's going to be a lot more structured and going to take a lot more time. And that's also got to look a lot more professional, because that's a video you want to send out to entice people to book in with you. Whereas the live videos tend to be more aimed at your community and who you've got on board and the people you want to kind of attract. So I think the pre-recorded stuff does take longer, but then it's aimed at a different audience, so it should take longer, rather than the live videos, therefore your active community.
So let's just touch on different platforms. So you said you've got different audiences on different platforms. Do you change your content to the platform as well?
My main content, my main business, Graham Bewley Photography, which is the one I've set up and have been, hugely successful with, is mainly on Facebook and Instagram, because that's where a lot of my customers are, because they tend to be in their late 20s, early 30s, late 30s, something like that. And a lot of people of that age are on Facebook and Instagram. Whereas now I'm looking at doing other things and mentoring people and helping other people that are creative, photographers, videographers, whoever it is, who have just come out of school, college or university, and come into this world and have a bit of background knowledge on how to actually take their skills and turn it into a business. As you know, it's incredibly hard to take a skill that you have and start charging for it. And how to do that, how do you set up a business, how do you have cash flow, how do you sort out your books, what do I actually need, what platforms do I need to be on, how do I market correctly? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. You can't just have a skill in something and expect to be really good and have a very successful business, it tends to be, actually, I find that the people that are very good at business might not necessarily be particularly good at the skill, but have got great business knowledge. Now, that side of things, I'm mainly aimed at sort of LinkedIn, TikTok, a little bit more on Instagram as well, but not really focused on Facebook, because I'm aiming that at a much younger audience. So the content is going to be slightly different. And also, you don't want to be putting the same content on different platforms anyway. Each platform has its own way of doing things. For instance, though LinkedIn has become a lot more social and a lot more casual, it's still very business orientated. So you're going to get a lot of business sort of questions and feelings. So you don't want necessarily a jokey video or a meme or anything like that on LinkedIn, because it's seen a bit more of a professional thing. Whereas if you people going on TikTok, they're going on it because they want to have a laugh, they want to have entertainment, they want a bit of knowledge, whatever it is, really quickly in a very fun way. And Instagram, for instance, is still, I found it's going through this sort of change, and it has changed. Whereas before it was all about photography and photographs. There's a lot of people using memes on there. There's a lot of people using quotes, for instance. There's a good mixture of different things and different videos as well. So that's still more of a creative environment. Whereas I see Facebook kind of being a bit more of a homely, family type social platform. It's very personal as well. So you got to make content, videos, photography, whatever it is, that is directed at those different platforms. It might be a very similar video. You might have shot it at the same time. Just the way you've edited it or structured it or put it out there might be completely different.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I'm looking at. Hold on. No. I'm recording an interview. I'm going to leave that in there. Yes, that's one thing I've been looking at recently. Is I think I might actually move off of Facebook because my target clients going forward are going to be £1 million up businesses, 5 to 10 employees. And I want to be targeting either marketing director, marketing manager, or company owner. Yeah. And I think they're going to be spending more of their time on LinkedIn than they are on Facebook.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. But also those kind of age groups tend to be spending a lot of time on Facebook. So the sort of 30 to 60 range, they seem to be spending a lot more time on Facebook than, say, Instagram or TikTok, for instance. Yeah. Whereas it depends on your strategy. That, I suppose, that all comes down to strategy and how you're going to use the video and what is said in the video.
Then you got to think of, why are they spending their time on that platform? They might be spending a lot of time on Facebook, but is it to catch up with their friends and family and see what they've been up to? Whereas on LinkedIn, they're there because they want to make business connections and maybe learn stuff about their business and things like that.
Exactly. And that's exactly where the video might take a different direction. So though they are going on Facebook to catch up with their friends and family and see what they're up to and whatever, they're still going to come across adverts. That's how, Facebook runs. So the adverts you put out there have got to be directed to them in a way that is a lot more softer, a lot more social. So a video, for instance, that you would put on Facebook might be, well, do you want to spend extra time with your family? Do you want to save 3 hours of marketing pain so that you can spend more time with your family? Whereas on LinkedIn, you might be saying something like, do you want your business to be more effective? Do you want your business marketing team to succeed? Rather than, so on one platform, you're talking about the business side of things. On the other platform, you're talking about the family side of things. So you got to, at the end of the day, you've got to be where the people are. So you probably need to do a bit of research in where those people are when their spare time and in their business time. And that's where the whole having different videos for different platforms come in. It's just directedly slightly different in that way.
Very helpful conversation, actually. So what are your future plans for your however many businesses you got going at the moment?
Yeah. Oh, I've got so many. This is the thing. I've got so many ideas going on now, and I feel like I've constantly gaining knowledge about business that I've set up different things. So the first thing I set up this year, which I was meant to start last year, but obviously with COVID and everything like that, it's kind of taken a bit of a hit. I set up my own personal branding. I don't really like the idea of having a personal brand. It's not a brand, it's just me. I'm putting myself out there, which is why I'm doing a lot more interviews and bits and pieces. I'm just being me. It's not a brand as such. But I honestly want to go out there and help people, because I truly believe in 10 to 20 years time, the workplace now, especially after COVID, the workplace in 10 to 20 years is going to be completely different. So when our kids grow up, they're going to be in completely different creative environment or workplace environment than we were growing up with. Even ours, our parents never had the internet really to have to contend with. My dad got a job at 21. He stayed with that company until he left in his 50s. He then became a driving instructor and then retired early, so he never really had a lot of changes of jobs or anything like that. By the time I was 19, 20, I had more job titles than my dad had in his whole entire life. My theory is that in 10 to 20 years, the workplace is going to be completely different, that it's going to be predicated on creative people and how creative you are. And with that in mind, that's why I've set up my own personal brand, or whatever you want to call it, that helps other people to learn from my mistakes and what I'm doing currently and in the past, and how to build a business from your talents. And one of the other things I think is going to be hugely important is actually being able to generate money or an income from many different sources. So not just having one business, or I work here part-time, but I also have this as well, and this and this. There's a lot more going on nowadays, rather than just having that one job. And I think those kind of days are coming to an end. And that's my theory. I think that's going to come to the end. So that's also what I'm going to be talking about, is how to generate extra income for your creative talent. So it might not necessarily be a full-time thing, it might be a part-time thing, or you might have two different creative talents. So you might be really good at music and you're doing performances at the weekend, but during the week you're making jewelry, and then also you work part-time at this company, and I think it's going to be a lot more of that in 10 to 20 years time. So that's why I've started creating my own personal brand in a way that promotes that and helps people understand that and how to navigate that. And that's also what I'm doing with my businesses. So with Graham Bewley Photography, I've actually said in my vlog already, I don't fully expect myself in the next 10 years, or in 10 years time, taking any photography like that. I actually think that I'll evolve and actually be more of a business owner and running that business whilst I set up my other businesses, because I've got other ideas that I want to experiment with, all within the creative field. VR, I think, is going to be hugely important in years to come, in the next 15 to 20 years. I think it's still a long way off yet. But I also want to set up a photography business for high-end portraiture for adults, because that's something we've not really seen in the UK too much, but it's a huge thing in America and some other European countries as well. So if you can take some really, really high-end portraits of people that people would want to have on their wall, really large, done in a very classic way, that's another business I'm looking at. And I'm also very interested in the creative side of the video industry, the video game industry. That's come on leaps and bounds in the last 5 years. The total prize money for the last competition in Fortnite was more than a tennis player wins at Wimbledon, for instance. So that's going to be massive industry in years to come, and I want to try and put my foot in the door somewhere in there as well. And I've got a few ideas with a lifestyle brand to go with that, and I've got a few people that are on board already that are interested in that side of things. So I just want to use my knowledge of what I've learned about business and put it to the other creative skills that I have. When you'll know, being a creative person yourself and being interested in music, not just video, that when you have all these creative talents and you want to do things, you just got to have that output. You've got to keep being creative, and that helps the other areas of your business and the other creative talents. So even though you might be watching films and generate video, they might help you in your photography side of things.
Normally, business owners, they have like a plan to do less in their business as they go forward. Yours seems to do more and more and more.
Yeah, I just want to do different things. I want to keep going. I don't want to build a business. I don't see myself building a business to necessarily sell it, but I definitely see myself building a business to keep growing it. I don't see to stop it. And I also got these other ideas that I want to experiment with. The word entrepreneur or whatever has only really been used or thrown out there. You know, everyone seems to be using it nowadays. I tend to try not to use it, but I've got all these ideas that I just want to create businesses out of them. You know, going back to my skate park days, my early days, I was always being creative. Like at the skate park, I was using the photographs to make a magazine that I used to make by writing out loads of text and photocopying it in the office. And then it used to be in black and white. And I used to have this like A4 magazine that was literally stapled together. It was so rough and rugged, and that was part of it. And we were selling it for like £1, £1.50 or something like that at the front door. And that was purely because I wanted to do it and do something, and it was covering the cost. It wasn't necessarily to make money. It's just that experimentation of being creative and, you know, giving back and making a little bit of money from it. There's pockets of ideas like that have been throughout my life that I've tried to make a little bit of money out of, and whatever. That I just can't stop now.
So with all this stuff going on, where can people follow you online?
So the main places to follow me, if you want to follow me for my main photography pages, is G Bewley Photo. And that will take you to either my Facebook or my Instagram pages. At the moment, I've set up my branding as Bewley's Life, which is Bewley's_life, which is again on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok as well. And also I'm on LinkedIn as myself, Graham Bewley, so you can search for that as well. But my LinkedIn profile is mainly aimed at helping other creative people that are looking into getting into the business for themselves, either full-time or just as a sort of side hustle or whatever you want to call it. So. And
now that Felicity's arrived, I think that means we're at the end of the time.
Now the cat's here, we're out.
Yeah, oh, she's gone. Oh, she's gone.
Right.
Thanks for joining us, Graham. That was really helpful. A lot of subjects covered there.
Thanks for having us on. It's good to see you, David. It's been a little while, but no, thanks for having me.
No, it's been good. Next time we can catch up and just talk about like comics and games and movies.
Yeah, I'm up for that. That'd be great.
So if you would like to join on the show yourself, if you're using video marketing in your business, make sure you leave a comment in the comments below and give this video a thumbs up as well, because that's the best way to help us reach more people just like you. If you want to see some more interviews that I've done with businesses using great video for their marketing, check out this playlist here. If you want to know what to wear in your videos, then check out this video here and click here to subscribe to catch our weekly videos all about growing your business using video marketing.